What's going on, guys? This is Brother Outlaw here. It's been a pretty good minute since I made a video, and I just felt like I was led to make this video, and that's how I feel like I should be making my videos. Is well, through knowledge, but also when I feel compelled to speak on something. But a lot of times, I usually when I have something to speak on, I'm usually person to person, and that's usually how I've done things most of the time because I know a lot of people speak. They've been doing that for 10 years, even through videos, and I've been speaking person to person the same way for the same amount of time. But I was basically wanting to speak on the fact that how and my condolences to Kevin Samuels, um, but behind all that, in a sense, what's going on in the world, it's I don't think people have noticed that there's been a shift in energy, and it's actually a feminine energy. If you go back and watch my videos, I got one where I talk about masculine and feminine energy, and that this affected humanity as a whole. And physically, a lot of children that were being born, there were more girls being born lately than there were boys. A lot of people used to talk about it. I used to hear myself, it's like, man, everybody's having girls. Like, what's going on? And it's really what is needed is to bring back a balance in this world, because creation itself is set on a balance of masculine and feminine energy. It's just how it works and how it functions, and especially it's different when you go up higher in frequencies. But that's for another topic or another time. But the thing is that this energy was needed to bring back a balance with masculine energy, because like a teeter totter, it was heavy on the masculine side, and the energy that's coming in is supposed to make it balanced. But because we have groups of people and who they work for, they're trying to use that energy to teeter it back off balance on the feminine side, which is why the things that we hear going on around the world of this, hot girl, um, and talking about how women are not understanding, and not being respectful to men and hate men and all that other stuff. That is a tactic being used by the enemy, because it's got to try to bring more uh, destruction towards the masculine and feminine of this world, man and woman. But with this energy, what that brings, not just more women in the world, but there has to be a more feminine energy in the world. But it's not on like saying men have to be more feminine. Men have to understand their more feminine characteristic, which is their emotions. And just like with women, they have to understand even their logic more. But with this energy, what's going on is the fact that everything has to be shifted to a balance. Like I said, the enemy is using that to his advantage to affect the the outcome between men and women. But what this energy brought, that also affected humanity, is what is like, because of the situation that we're in with COVID and the jobs and situation and people trying, and gas prices going up. What this does, this can be what can be done out of this, is where things are more creative. And this is a feminine quality, it's a feminine aspect or characteristic. So people are going to create more jobs. People are going to create more businesses. People are going to create, being more creative. That means art, and like I got a homeboy. He just wrote down a book. That's a feminine characteristic. He's not a female or a feminine guy, but the feminine aspect is him writing his own book. These are people who write. That's a feminine characteristic. And sculpting. So out of these situations, there are going to be people, men and women alike. There are going to be inventors. You get what I'm saying? So there are going to be people who are going to create their own business, and these are situations that are already happening. But I think some people may not realize or understand how things are functioning right now. Because right along with that is God's people's gaining recognition. And what we may not realize, or will have to understand, some people, it will understand, is that the media, the commercials, the TV shows, mainstream media basically trying to name it all at once is showing more people of color. And out of this is where we're going to gain our recognition and our blessings. And I'm not remembering the scripture exactly, but I remember what it was talking about. And this is where we're going to gain our blessings. This is where we're going to gain our retributions. And so, because we're in modern day, we got to understand how that will work. And so, like I said, there's creating your own businesses and growing off of it. There's going to be people who are going to be growing art, but you also see people like on the main faces of commercials and TV shows and movies and stuff. So these are opportunities that are coming our way. So, and seeing that, I'm seeing more videos for the Spanish people and even Native Americans. It's slowly building up, and these people may not realize, but we are all, gaining that retribution. Now is our time to come up. So with that feminine energy, which is not just us per se, but the entire world, but we're gaining our percentage to our chance to come right back. So this is where we're popping back up, and people are noticing. This is why, like I say, the movies and commercials and TV shows, you see more people of color as the front face of these advertisements. So basically, people have to understand that this also is coming where mature women are actually trying to help other women mature. This is that balance, because men have had to mature and had to have dealt with all these things especially when it came down to rejection and stuff like that. And so the thing is that this shift in energy is also gonna, like, for our women, it's which is setting off already now, that people are, like I seen on the internet so many times, people are, men are backing away from women, which in turn have to be careful because, of what will attract to us, because we're stepping away from natural women. So, and that's another tactic that the enemy is using, if you can read between the lines. And what we have to understand is that this is our time, that not only as God's people, but to come up, but this is also the time for women to mature, because this is what that shift in energy is also for. It's to also build and create, but it's also for the woman. And and this is why a lot of women and a lot of men are speaking about the characteristics of a lot of women, and how they're not understanding and realizing that they're not understanding certain things on a level that is not of their age. And so, not to seem like I'm attacking anyone, but it's just the simple truth that a lot of women are very immature. And so with that comes a shift, that where women are going to match the level of men, and where this is where we get our balance, because this isn't about one overtaking the other. Because in creation, there are the two main, like I said in my last video, there are two main shapes, or two main energies in creation. So it's the masculine and the feminine. These are the same parts of the hemispheres of our brain, which is the analytical and the creative side. This is where, if I had two pictures and one was a circle, one was a square, and one was a circle, the analytical side, the logic side, the masculine side, when it colors, it's going to color within the circle. It's order. And on the feminine side, when that one colors, it's going to color inside and a little bit and coming outside the lines as well, because there is no boundary to creation in itself, but that masculine side is that boundary in a sense. So what people have to understand is, just like in creation, God doesn't draw in straight lines, but you can measure it in straight lines, which is why we can understand the size of our planet and stuff like that. So what this is an opportunity for not only for us to create and build and do more, but this is also the opportunity for a lot of women to mature and realize and self-reflect. And because even how I've seen on a lot of videos how women have a hard time dealing with rejection, the way they're acting upon it is showing a sign of immaturity. So a lot of this, that's why even I've spoke about this a long time ago, and I was telling a couple, and I was hoping that they remember what I said and not me, but it was that because of how things are and where we're going, there's going to be an attack on our on men and women, but it's going to use our women against us, and we're going to have where women are going to be influenced to do things that is not really how women are supposed to operate. And so the thing is, women are going to have to stand up and step up to be able to keep that balance, to correct things on how women are supposed to be. And this is, for some people it's a touchy subject, but it really isn't, and it really shouldn't be, because of the fact that, you know, naturally, if a woman has a child, which is what they're created for, which is again a feminine aspect, because man and woman are physical manifestations or characteristics of the masculine and feminine energies. So on our plane of existence, masculine and feminine energy is broken down not only between man and woman, but being the fact that we live on a planet in space, surrounded by stars and other planets and a star. That is the feminine quality, the creation, which is why when a woman is holding a baby, her stomach is round. I think a lot of people get it mixed up with understanding the whole flat Earth thing, theory and stuff, because we forget that we put satellites way up in the sky, which is right on our atmosphere, orbiting around our planet, and they have to use cameras in order to see people. So the only reason why I say it like that is because, and not to go off for too long, but just how small we are compared to the size of our planet, which is why it would seem like we're walking on a straight line in the first place. We can't tell the difference because a germ wouldn't be able to tell the difference from being on a ball to being on the Earth itself. You know, so because of how small we are compared to the planet, it seems like we're walking in a straight line. But like I said, the feminine aspect of when a woman is holding a baby, her stomach is round. So a three-dimensional, you know, Earth, if it was two-dimensional, it would be a flat Earth. But we live in a third dimensional plane of existence, which gives us the ability to move around. And this is why our planet is round and not flat. Because as of the feminine aspect in the world, for women, like I said before, women's bodies are built on the feminine, out of the feminine aspect, which is a circle. Which, when you look at a woman's body, especially a woman of color, their bodies are more round. And as for any woman on this planet, when they're holding a baby and they're creating a baby within them, the circle, the circle becomes three-dimensional, because people like to say, "Oh, you got girl, you got the thing this is the size of a basketball. You got a beach ball down there." We say balls. We give it that reference because the stomach is round. This is why, as a feminine characteristic, women's bodies, if you look at a woman's body, don't need to really name it, but if you look at a woman's bodies, their parts of their bodies are round. So, and as for a man, when you look at a man, his body looks more square. That's why we say things as men. Don't let a man, let anybody get you off your square. When you're about to fight, you say square up. Again, just like a boxing ring. But to go back, the thing is that what is going on is that we all have to mature. We all have to understand that even as men, we have to understand the feminine characteristic within us, which is our emotions and our ability to create. So, because just like in a yin and yang, that the light side has a little bit of dark in it, just like the dark side has a little bit of light in it. So, as a man and woman, we got to understand these sides, and women have to get themselves back in order, so that way they can be more mature in how they live their lives. It's the same thing with men, but it's like where we come in, we have to understand our emotions, we have to understand ourselves, and we have to understand our capability to create, which is like building homes, creating jobs. Women can do the same thing, but I'm just saying, like, that's the feminine aspect of a man. So as long as we work on that and we can see it for what it is, this makes it easier for us to not be thrown off when the enemy is trying to use our women and men against us, against each other, to 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 have control and destroy us, because that's what's basically happening. We're being pitted. We're being pitted against each other for no reason at all. And I think that, one, the understanding has to come into the fact that, for women, if they are hating men, you know, why are you hating a man? Is it because of the men that you dealt with in the past, and you say I hate men because you can't have met all men? There's over a billion men on the planet. There's no way you could have met them all, because they cannot not say that there isn't a man out there who actually loves and takes care of their kids and looks after their woman. They can't say it's not true, even though they may hate a man. So these women have to understand not only their place and who they are and what they are, but they also have to understand how to mend their hearts and realize that they had some bad men, because when the teeter totter was off, when men were in control, there was also the period of men who were abusive to women. And men abused that power that is supposed to be where the man leads the household. And he abused it because he was small on the inside and wanted to feel strong. So he attacked something weaker than him, or what he felt was weaker than him. That's what you call a bully. That's what you call a punk. We already know this. So that has to be understood on how you see yourself and what you attract. So at the end of the day, because even when you know yourself and say you attract something, because at the end of the day, you can still have a tendency, even if you have worked on yourself, to attract someone negative. But when you know yourself, you've matured, okay, I don't want that. Let me move on, because by the time you move on, you might attract that one that actually is for you. So, and that's man and woman side either way. But as long as both, we can actually understand that, when the energy was off on the masculine, there was a negative way that men were doing things, which we see even today. So as as this as this plays out, there should be an opportunity and taken to for man and woman to mature and come together, because this is needed more than anything. And as of right now, the way things are going, this is to pit us against each other. And we have to mature and see this, because we're seeing it from a psychological and emotional level. And this is also has to come down from the aspect of, how men and women how are being raised and as children, and the environments that they're around and create. So as long as we can take this time to realize these things, we can move up and move forward, and we can have more of the Most High in our hearts and in our homes. Because one of the biggest things and the reasons why we're having this, where things are being pulled apart, is because the Most High is not in between. The Most High is not in those relationships, and that's why the relationships that do last strong, they already know that the Most High is in between, in the middle of that relationship. you know so that is what is necessary. We have to not only mind our thoughts, mind our hearts, mind our actions. you know we have to be able to have all of that together while having a relationship with the Most High, you know while broken up to the point you're fixed up. But it's as long as we stay pitted against each other, we're always losing, because we weren't meant to be separated in the first place. We were created for each other. It says in the Bible, man, God intended for man and woman to be together. And yet in creation itself, because when you look at the planet, the feminine aspect of creation itself is what you can see around you. Or just even if you take away all the things that was created by mankind and you see trees and such, or if you're able to keep something like a telescope and look and see other planets, then you see that they have a round shape to them that tells you something as well. So as long as we can see this, that is creation itself. The only way we were able to know is we had to learn, how to know how big it was, the diameter and the circumference of it. We had to measure it, which we had to use math. We had to calculate it. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like a tree. If we want to know how tall a tree is, we can measure it. God doesn't create in straight lines, but we can measure it. And everything in life is geometric in the first place, anyways. And this goes back to understanding sacred geometry or divine mathematics. This is where you actually get that I think it's called the Kabbalah. I mean, not the Kabbalah. It's it's dang. It might be that. I'm sorry, but in the Jewish um in the culture they have which is called the tree of life, but they use it in the Jewish in the part of their culture or even a part of their religion, not realizing that that actually comes from divine mathematics. This is part of the reason why I say we are God's people, because this is information that we knew on a very, very deep level and it's being hidden from us. But the thing is like as long as we as long as we try to build and mature ourselves, and women get to see the level of their actions, men get to see the level of their actions, and realize that on both ends, yes, as men, we have to acknowledge the fact that there are some jackasses out there in the world that are abusive and fucked up to women, and they have contributed to the fact of why a lot of women have made up the some of the strange excuses to say, "Oh, I'm gonna be with women now because a woman will know how to treat me," even though that's failed itself, and women will just not interact with men, period, because they say they hate men. You know, on the other side, for that to happen, you also have to realize within yourself, are you seeing yourself and carrying yourself in the positive aspect to love yourself enough to say, I don't have to be in this, let me leave. I don't have to keep this up. So the thing is, while men understand and men become more mature themselves, because this is not us, we're not sitting here thinking like, oh, we're all, now I'm pretty sure there are some men, but it's not like we're all like, yeah, we already know better, so it's y'all's turn. Because at the end of the day, we still got to even be able to handle the fact that a lot of women are acting the way that they're acting. So we got to be able to respond to it in a mature manner, anyways. But as women, they have to learn to mature and understand themselves and realize what their self worth and their capabilities are, and understand that where they are in this world is not what they think. So this needs to be understood as like the traditional fact. When a woman is naturally, a woman is born, she's naturally caring, she's naturally, loving, and babies are like this, period. But when you look at a girl growing up, you can see that her actions is different from a boy's. The way they respond, the way they talk, the way they act. Like my 12-year-old, she's like, she runs around like this. She's dainty. That's a girl thing. That's just naturally her character. So when we understand that, even as a boy, like even when I look at my old photos when I was a baby, my mom put up, she said 100% boy. What would she mean by that? Probably because the way I was doing things, what I was doing. Like my son, he likes to climb up on tables and chairs and stuff. My daughter, even though she's a little tomboyish, but you know, but that's my son. He does that. Like his mom is always telling me, this boy likes to climb on the tables. These are characteristics of what boys are like. So it goes right down to how men are and how women are. If you bring a baby around a woman, they're all like, "Oh my goodness!" This is just the natural way of women. They want to hold and take care of the baby. That's how women are. As men, we do feel that way. You know, on an internal level, but we're not always like, ooh. Now, sometimes we are in a way, but it's not always as a woman's way. We have our own way of showing that type of affection. But so, as long as we understand that, and you know, we can understand our place in the world, it makes it easier for us to coexist with each other, because that's what we're created to do. That's why I say, the masculine and feminine traits of creation itself are the baseline of creation, are the baseline of creation itself. So they cannot be without each other. So at the end of the day, man and woman is intended to be together, period. So as long as we understand that and we can work together, we will get through this, even through these hard times that's coming our way, that we're in now and that is coming our way. Because we got more to go, and we really have to be more mature in order to be able to handle those situations. It's no different from growing up. We had to be more mature. But peace and blessings to everybody. And may the Most High guide you all back to each other and to yourselves. Peace.